make yet again another Baler video. Now if you're tired of watching Baler videos, just click off now, that's fine. I don't care, it's all good. But this is for the few that of the skeptics and the critics of the channel. No, I wouldn't call you all trolls. I'm just going to call you skeptics and critics. Skeptics that what I'm doing with this Baler, the 4910, versus this Baler right here, the 1290 HDP high-speed Baler. Now, okay, so the modifications that I'm doing to this Heston right here, modifications that me, Cody, Tim, Joe, and crew, Grant involved, are that of this is what I would call this is a third generation Heston Baler, the 4910. They started out in 1978 with the 4800 Heston, what they called the Heston 1-ton. Then they went to the 4900, and now obviously this is the 4910. The difference between the 4900 and the 4910 were minimal. They looked the same. They were just upgrades to the, I'm going to say, to the heft of it, to the reliability of it, or even the durability. That's what I should say, the durability of the Baler. And I'm not entirely sure what the upgrades from the 4900 to the 4910 are, other than structural. I don't think they really, structural and gearbox. The gearbox on the original 4900s were plate metal that was put together and gears put in, sealed up, and you got a gearbox out of the deal. The gearbox that's in the 4910 here is a cast gearbox, built very tough, very durable. Now, I know somebody was saying that, and you know, and it's okay, I can take the criticism and it's fine. But somebody said, well, we can see that one only farmer's going to do these upgrades to the 4910 and it's going to blow apart because it isn't designed to do what he wants it to do. Well, fortunately for me, Heston, Agco Heston, in the early days of these big 4x4s, they did a lot of work to increase the durability of their product. Later years, they lightened it, and I wasn't thrilled with that. I've seen a lot of Balers, Agco Heston products that this model, or the older Balers, actually were built heavier in places that they needed to be, and then later years, I want to say in the 2100 series, the 2170s, I guess. I think those are the models that I looked at. I've looked at several different models over the years, and those models, flighting on augers, were cheapened up. My neighbor had one. I forget what model that was. I think that was a 2170. It was a 3x4, and he was always having problems with the augers bending over, and just massive problems with it. Not major. It wasn't junk, it just, there were things that they had lightened up and caused the Baler to be light in construction. So I've got my tape measure here, and I'm going to talk about the first thing, and that is right here, these boards, these plunger or Bale extensions. Alright, I don't need to measure it because I know what the distance of from the hinges to this point is about 9 feet. Okay, so I've added 2 feet out from the boards. I added 2 extra feet, so from 7.5, there's 7, 8, 9, 7 feet to 9 feet. That's what I increased the Bale chamber in length. On the inside of the Baler, which you may not be able to see right at this moment, give me a second and I will definitely enlighten you if I can get my fingers to operate correctly. You will see that I put hay wedges in there. I didn't actually put them in, Cody did. I had him weld them in. So there's 1, 2, 3 basically ramps on the inside of the boards, as we call them, compression boards. There's 3 on either side. They are symmetrical, right across from one another, and that is nothing unusual for these generation Balers. They sold them for these Balers. Generally you would put 1 or 2 or as many as 3 in if you wanted to. I didn't feel like purchasing them, so we made them. What else did I do? The only thing that is really different about this baler from the new model baler is the diversions, let me call them, I'm going to call them pre-charged diverters. And the reason I call them pre-charged diversions is because it's exactly what it does. In here on these bands, the holdback fingers that are in there, and you're not going to be able to see it, but you've watched the channel long enough to know that you can see where Cody welded them on. I've instructed him how to do this. We put these little ramps in there to force the hay that's coming into this pre-charge chamber into the fingers, the holdback fingers, so that it wouldn't go up and around as that plunger comes back. Because let's face it, there's 14 inches of space up there with 3 inches of holdback. The hay goes up in there, it gets on over top of those holdback fingers, and then the plunger pushes it in and you end up with a banana bale. So my device to alleviate that problem was those holdback fingers, and they do work. They worked on the other one, they're going to work on this one. There's a problem that was with this baler from new on the pickup. There's the mount, that's why this thing is all kind of grumpy. On the bottom, there's a piece there that was preventing the header from going down. I don't know how they baled hay with it. But anyways, that being said, all these things that I've put into this baler, with the exception of the diverters, is what they came out with later in production of the Heston baler. This baler strokes at 24 strokes a minute. I think somebody came in, maybe it's Cody, I don't know. But anyways, this baler strokes at like 24 or 24 and a half strokes per minute. The new baler that Heston produces in 4x4 actually strokes at 33 bales per minute. So they've increased by 9 strokes a minute, or 8.5 strokes a minute, which is monumental. Same gearbox, thank you very much, or same size gearbox. They changed the ratios inside, which then, of course, made the baler run faster. Same needles, just same needles, same thing. Everything's the same, except they sped it up. Of course, they've design differences. Looking at them, they are different. They're built heavier in places where they needed to be built heavier to handle the increase in speed. Now, if you look up inside this Krone baler, you will notice that this baler has an extraordinarily long bale chamber. This bale chamber is 12 feet long. From the knife back is 13 feet. From where that plunger shears the hay, or the slice of hay as it comes up into the chamber, is 13 feet to the back. This is the longest bale chamber on the market. The only one that comes close to it is the new Heston UDX. I believe they may possibly have a 12-foot bale chamber now. I am yet to set eyes on it. So, yeah. This baler is truly an amazing work of art, if you want to call it that. They have the... Now, entertain me here for a second. They didn't put hay wedges in here, and I do not believe hay wedges are even available for the Krone baler, for the simple reason is they really are not necessary because of the last bale ejector. Okay, so that last bale ejector actually acts as hay wedges. So that bale of hay comes back, and then when it comes in, they actually stab into the bottom of that hay. So that removes a lot of the springing action of that bale of hay on the bottom side. Top side, I don't see any spring back when I'm up on top of this baler, looking at it and doing whatever I need to do to the baler. I do see an issue though. Something with this hay wedge here is kind of messed up. Like something's cocked sideways or worn. Look at that. So something's not quite right there. I bet that wedge is junk, but it's still functioning. And they're not cast. These are actually cut out of mild steel. And they don't make the noise that the other manufacturers make because of the rubber stoppers and stuff. But yeah, so that's why this baler is so much longer. The John Deere LB 341 has, they claim, a 10-foot bale chamber. it's about the same length as what I made the Heston 4910. That's what the new John Deere bale chamber is. It's about the same length. So yeah, I don't see that I'm going to have any problems with it. This is not the first baler that I've built these extensions and stuff on. It's not the first one that had hay wedges. It's not the first one that had the diverters. Everything worked really, really well. It even works so well that it packs a nicer, tighter, squarer bale than any 4x4 I've ever seen in my life. Now, Cody's building the bale chute out of pipe. This pipe, okay? There's some extensions that we decided to modify and put on there for the simple reason is as the bale comes out of the bale chamber, with the other one that I built, built the extensions for, it didn't have these extensions that came out. And what was happening was as the bale comes out, it was falling and pulling down on these extended bale bale boards, the compression boards. So we had to do something about that, and that's why I decided that we would build. I used the pieces that I chopped out of the side there, and I used the pieces that I chopped out of the side there to make the extensions with. And that's why we did that, so that it wouldn't be putting an exorbitant amount of force down on the boards, because what happens is it'll wear on the hinges, and if you break the hinges, then you got big problems. So that's why I added those to it. I didn't want an extraordinarily large bale chute because honestly I want the bale to fall off pretty rapidly. So when Cody gets back here, I just turned him loose on it. I told him, go ahead and do what you got to do to it. I don't care as long as it's 5.5 feet long. So what's going to happen is that bale is going to come out. It's going to rest on the bale chute and just tilt like this and actually lift on the boards as it's coming out instead of pulling down on the boards as it's coming out. In the minute it gets past the boards or out of the bale chamber, it'll just bloop, flop right off, and on we go. And that'll be the way it's going to work. So I'm just hoping that I can alleviate some of you guys' concerns or problems with what I'm doing. There's a lot of guys saying that I think I'm smart. Well, no, I don't think I'm smart, and I don't think I'm an engineer. I'm just a guy that wants to get the most out of what I got, and I'm not afraid to try stuff. And that's where a lot of people fail at life, is that they're afraid to try stuff. I'm not afraid to try stuff. I get up in the morning and I think of shit to do, whether it's necessary or not. I just want to try stuff. That's all. Now the reason, now here's another thing. You see this bale chute is like long. It's a really long bale chute. This is actually a scale. Krone has a scale system. The load sensors, or the load cells, they call them load cells, they're right here. Right in here, there's one. The other baler has it as well. They work. Bale comes out, lays down on that and this, tripping the scale to weigh the bale before it drops off. And that is how you weigh your hay accurately. And I like that. I really like that option. I think they should all have that. The only other thing that I wish I could do to this baler, this Heston baler, is add weight to the flywheel. The flywheel, even though it's a pretty massive in circumference, it could be heavier. It really could be heavier. It's actually pretty damn big. I would say that it's pretty big, but it's nothing compared to this Krone. And I can just bring you over here and take a look at that. It's about, I don't know, 8-10 inches wider across and thicker than thieves. It's just big. So anyway, I'm going to stop yammering on because I'm almost at 15 minutes. If you don't like what I do, I'm sorry. If you like what I'm doing, keep on watching. That's what it's here for. But yeah, here we go. I'm going to climb inside that bale chamber, or not bale chamber, pre-compression chamber. I'm going to step you up in here first. This is where I'm working. I've done that one and the one below it. This is the next one I have to do. And I'm here by myself today because it's Mother's Day and my children have decided they're all going to see their mom and I don't have any help today, which is fine. I'm okay with that. But yeah, I'm going to see if I can get my lovely wife to help me today. And I'm going to pull this out of here and change those bearings on the other side, and life should be good, right? Right. Thanks for watching. Good morning. Welcome to the probably the last segment of me defending what I'm doing with the Heston Baler. You'll probably see it finished up here in the next couple of days. But all right, so I got to defend myself on this thing for simple reasons. Is that when I was a student, I wasn't a good student, and the teacher was always like, "How many times do I have to explain this to you people? How many times do I have to explain this to you?" So that's how I feel. I never understood how my teachers felt when they were saying this. How many times do I have to explain this to you? Why aren't you getting this? Well, I guess the answer to that is that you're just not really that interested in what I'm doing. You're only interested in what you're doing, and you don't know how to pay attention. So, okay. So there was a person that posted on the John Deere when I interviewed or reviewed the John Deere baler, and they said that's not how that pre-charge chamber works or that stuffer works, and it's not a Krone LB 1290 copy, or it doesn't have the roots of an LB 1290. It is a Vicon, Krone LSB 1290. It's a Vicon LB 1290. Well, to some historical truth, yes, that is correct. The Vicon actually built the first one of these balers. Not the first ones. It was the Vicon big square baler. But before Krone and John Deere got together, Vicon was sold to Krone Equipment, K-U-H-N, not C-O-O-N, but K-U-H-N. Krone Equipment purchased Vicon back in 2010. They didn't start working with John Deere right away on their big baler, or even their design, or even the help that John Deere had given Krone to create a much better baler, which, in my opinion, John Deere actually has made a better baler out of the Krone LSB 1290. I don't like the two-piece plunger. It's pointless. To me, it's pointless. It's like taking two light hammers and having to strike it twice as many times to accomplish the same thing as one heavy hammer. Plunger designs, and I think that's just their claim to fame. You can't get that two-piece plunger in a John Deere, but to answer the critic that was really digging at me here and actually showing the Vicon LB 1290 or 1270, you're right. If Vicon actually contacted John Deere or was contacted by John Deere to produce this, or to borrow or buy their rights to improve the baler that they were building, but that's not the case. The case was that Vicon was sold to Krone, and John Deere and Krone got together, and this is technically a Krone Deere with Vicon roots, if we really want to get super duper technical about this thing. Now, I knew that Vicon was sold off years ago because it just was. We're talking 9 years ago, and I think the first year for the L340 John Deere was 2015. It may have been 2014, and I know that John Deere had worked on it for a couple of years, supposedly worked on it for a couple of years, and someone else had come in and had actually said that when they were doing trial tests with the Krone or with the John Deere, it was a John Deere green body with an orange framework. So I'm sure that Krone had supplied the frames to John Deere, and John Deere just started bolting stuff on. No different than what I'm doing. No different than what I'm doing with that Heston. And the funny thing about the Heston is Heston has already implemented all the little upgrades, with the exception of the pre-charged diverters that I've put in. They've changed their pre-compression chamber and the length of the fingers that actually go in. In two models later, they changed it. It was the 4900, the 4900, and the 4910, and then whatever came after that. I think it was an Agco baler. They didn't even call it the Heston. It was just called the Agco Heston baler, which was the same thing. And this is just like other people saying, oh, well, you know, the case 8585 is a case Baler. It's not a Heston. But no, and the fact of the matter is, it's just a Heston Baler in case clothing. That's all. So that's it. I'm not bitching. I'm just trying to clarify stuff. Now, I do understand how my teachers in grade school and high school were feeling when they were trying to teach me stuff that I just wasn't interested in hearing the information. And, you know, I could apologize to every one of my teachers except for one. And Mrs. Piper, I do not apologize to you because you sucked. You were the worst teacher ever to walk the face of this earth, and I hope you're dead, which I'm pretty sure you're not, but I hope you are. And maybe even you watch these videos. I don't know. But, yeah. So, anyway, with that being said, yeah, the trip mechanism on the John Deere and the Krone are identical. I guess they're identical. John Deere stamps their own in hammer forged steel, where I believe Krone actually makes them out of plate steel that is welded, which, as long as they're equally strong, what's the problem? I like the looks of the John Deere one better, personally. I actually have looked at Krone balers. There is a Krone baler local to me. They came out and they were here in, I think, 2012. Maybe even earlier than that. I was buying my 2010 or 2011. It was new. Krone, you know, Krone Baler. It was new. It was it was a single tie knot system. John Deere did away with that. Krone still offers that. I wouldn't purchase a single knot system if you paid me. But that's just my personal opinion there, and I'm sure you're tired of listening to this long-winded video. So anyways, thanks for watching. Please comment, rate, and subscribe for more. And if you've got any other comments that you'd like me to clarify, go ahead and put them down there. It doesn't mean I'm going to do it or not, but, you know, just do a little more research before you start spewing shit from your mouth. It would just help everybody.